Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing like a book talky discussion on Clariel by Garth Nix. So this was published in 2014, so really recent. It's one of Garth Nix's newest release. And Clariel is set 600 years in the past, before the events of like what happened in the first book, Sabriel. Of course it's part of the Old Kingdom series. So in this book we follow a young girl called Clariel who's had to move into the major city of... It wasn't called the Old Kingdom at the time because, you know, it's current then, but she had to move to Belisare because her mother is a goldsmith and she's been asked to kind of, I don't know, sort of teach her ways, because goldsmiths are like a trade that are really high. So Clariel really hates this decision because all she wants to do is live in the Great Forest and be like this kind of hunter, ranger sort of person, but obviously moving into a large city like Belisare has kind of closed her in and denied her of that. It's kind of an obvious assumption to see that she is not happy with this move. So although I really hate to admit it, I was pretty disappointed with this book, and it kills me saying that because I waited so long for something, and I've only recently just found out that Garth Nix had other like kind of little novellas to do with the Old Kingdom series, but without knowing that, I was waiting for something like this for so long, and I was just really disappointed with what I got. I just feel like it didn't really live up to my expectations when compared to the rest of the main trilogy, and I almost want to give it 2 stars, but it's just kind of like something holding me back from doing that. I think it might just be like the overall charm of the series. In my heart, I just cannot give it lower than a 3 stars. I just can't. There's something about the series that has me. It's one of my favourite series of all time, and I just couldn't do that. I couldn't do it to this, you know. So I'm going to split this into like the good and the bad, and then talk a little bit more in the spoilery part, but I'll let you know when the spoiler part comes along. So the good. Something that really helped me out in this book was that Garth Nix helped me to pronounce names like pretty early on. For example, there was a scene revolving a name that was spelt kind of weird, and I didn't really know how to pronounce it, so I was pronouncing it as Ada, as in a snake. But because of the way the conversation was going between 2 characters, I learnt that it was pronounced Ada. So I liked that it was kind of subtly done, and it helped the reader, but you know, it was done casually in the way of general conversation. The characters had really good humour. I enjoyed conversations where these 2 characters called Alonzo and Belle were like bantering. I really hate that word, but that's the only one I can think of at the moment. There was a scene, it's not a spoiler or anything, I'm just reading it here because I've written it in my main review on Goodreads. Belle was saying something like, Alonzo is like a troublesome thorn in the foot, a little prick. But he gets like cut off there, so it's like subtly swearing, but not, because he gets stopped in what he's about to say. So I was just like, oh, that's so funny. It's one of those little slight bits that Garth Nix threw in there just to get some little giggles, but you know secretly you can't get in trouble because he wasn't really swearing, you know. Another good point is, even though the story is set far back, like quite far back in terms of like chronology and stuff. Is that the right word? I feel like it's the right word. It did feel pretty modern, but I don't know if that's because I was feeling kind of brainwashed by the characters, because it seemed like every person had to at least once say, oh, Belisare is the most modernist city ever. So I feel like maybe they secretly, I don't know, brainwashed me. And in talking about secretly brainwashing in Belisare, I do feel like initially the city was kind of like some mysterious Illuminati shit going on. Like, I felt like everyone was controlled with the way they were acting and stuff, and it just sounded really sinister. And I think I would have liked it more if Nix done something a little bit more on that rather than just kind of leaving it, because I would have thought it would be really interesting to see, I don't know, something a bit more sinister beneath the surface. So the bad. The main point that I just keep going back to is that this story is not what I expected at all. I felt like I was really overly hyped because everyone was saying really good things, and of course I was waiting for so long, and then it came out, and then I was like, boom, yes, I'm excited, continue this series, please make it awesome. And because I was so highly expected, which I'm never usually, I kind of dim my senses, so I'm not as disappointed, but I just couldn't help it for this book. And because I was like that, it kind of lessened how good the story actually was. I just don't feel like Garth Nix's writing style was the same. Maybe it's because I was so used to the trilogy Like, I haven't read anything else by him, but I'm so used to the trilogy, and obviously that was written a while ago. He's probably like improved or expanded and changed things since then. And I don't know, I didn't get on too well with the writing style. I also felt like a lot of the characters, a lot of the side characters that did kind of help make the story go along were rather dull and flat and kind of just lifeless. I don't think that they were like brought to life as well as I know Nix can do with his characters, and it kind of just made the story a little bit dull, drag a little bit, and I don't know, it just, you know, dimmed the whole thing. It just put it into shades of grey rather than the vibrant, really brilliant colours that I like imagine when I'm seeing this whole like world setting. There are a few other bad points that if you do read my Goodreads review you'll see, but I don't class them as spoilers, but I'm going to talk about them in the spoiler section of this video, which is coming up in a second, so that's why I'm going to stop that part here now. So if you haven't read Clariel and you're wanting to, I would go out quickly and read it if you must, and then come back and watch the rest of this, and then we can have a discussion about it. Spoilery part. I feel like a lot of the time situations were really predictable, and I know I'm going to remember a lot of stuff after I film this, so I might just add them down in the description part. But for example, the party, like the dinner party with Alonso and his father Kilp, when they invited Clariel and her family, it was obvious shit was going to go down. I don't know if anyone else felt like that way, but everything just had a tension to it, and I just knew they were going to like get gravely injured, you know, or, you know, killed or whatever. So I don't think that the writing there was subtly like implicated enough. It was just too obvious for me, and it lessened the thrill of what happened. I mean, that sounds really scary because, you know, people are dying, but it really did lessen that thrill. I wanted dragons. One of the covers that best matches the rest of my trilogy, had like Clariel, you know, on the front, and like this really cool setting behind, and a dragon. And that was hardly delivered, you know. I know it's just a cover, but that was one of the first covers I saw, and I was like, yes, dragons are in this. They kept hinting at it in the beginning, like the times when there were dragons and yeah. And I was like, oh my god, it's building up to something awesome. But what we got were 3 magic creatures, and it was only for like the last few chapters, so I was really disappointed in that because I feel like it was all falsely given to us. Like, they kept saying there was dragons involved, they kept hinting at things, and then when it happened, they weren't even like real dragons that I was expecting, and it was way late in the story, so they didn't even last very long. Talking of the dragons and the 3 magic creatures, oh my god, how crazy was it when they all just turned on Clariel? Again, that was kind of another predictable point, but bloody hell, that was intense when they were all in like the king's room thing, and this is when Alonso and Kilp are seeing her again, but they don't know who she is, and she's got the mask on. Claw of the Mask, might I say again, I knew what was happening. I kind of had a hint somewhere through the story, and then like it kind of faded out my mind. And then when the king was like, when he was like, who are you? And she was like, never mind. And she was like, who are you, Claw? And I was like, oh, Claw of the Mask! Oh, I knew it. So I just think that was that was one of the really great things about this story. It connected some way majorly to the main story, and even though we see Claw like later on, I think in the Rail book 2 of the main series, it's nice to have a little backstory of her. I really wasn't expecting this to be her origin story, so that was something awesome, and I think that was delivered awesomely as well. I also like that Garth Nix gave us that closure. He did say, obviously, this is Claw of the Mask we're talking about, like right at the end, like after the story had finished. So I like that we wasn't left in the dark knowing, but not 100% knowing, so that was really great. It really just closed my mind and made me think, yes, Claw's origin story. And I don't know, this story, generally, it was cool to see someone of the Apolson bloodline give in to the evil, you know? Although it was really sad, it was really interesting to see an Apolson give in to the berserk fury as such, and over to the 3 magic side, and it was really sad to see her like her charter mark go on her forehead and all that. It was an emotional journey, but I gave it 3 stars because I think that you do not have to read this. I don't feel like it's a necessary story. It's just a little bit of interesting fun that kind of gives a background to a villain. I'm not angry really, it is something nice to have, but just kind of unnecessary and a little bit disappointing. So I'm going to leave this here before I continue rambling, and as I said, I'm probably going to remember like tons more after I finish filming, but yeah, I'll just add it in the description. Anyway, let me know what you thought about this book. Let me know what you think about the whole series. Down below I also have links to the other videos that I've filmed for the books in this series, and also the Goodreads page. You can look for my written review, because I think I've got a few more bits in there as usual. So yeah, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy your day. Bye!